Why, hello, I'm Mimi Fotz, and this is the episode of Hello from the Van. We're going to start today with a quiz. I'm going to name 6 cats. You tell me which one doesn't belong. Are we ready? Puma, mountain lion, cougar, panther, deer tiger, leopard. Which one does not belong? Let me say them again. Puma, mountain lion, cougar, panther, deer tiger, or leopard. Which one does not belong? The answer? It's the leopard. How so? Well, because all of the other names, Puma, mountain lion, cougar, panther, deer tiger, they are all the exact same animal. Using its scientific name, this is the Puma concolere, and it is the topic of today's episode. Puma concolere just means puma with color. And for the sake of consistency, for the rest of the episode, I will refer to the Puma concolere as its most common name used in global literature and scientific references. That is the puma. This might not be what you grew up calling it. I grew up calling it a mountain lion because I lived next to the mountains. And that's okay. We're not calling it a mountain lion today. Calling it a puma. The range for the puma is very large. It covers North, Central, and South America. All of it. Its natural habitat is all the way from Canada through the United States down to the southernmost tip of South America. It is a huge range. It is the most widely distributed land mammal in the Western Hemisphere. It's actually one of the most naturally widespread mammals in the entire world. And due to its wide natural range, it has a range of different names. So many, in fact, that the puma holds the Guinness Book World Record for the animal with the greatest number of names, with over 40 in English alone. And it doesn't stop there. The puma spans 28 countries and most of the United States. And each area has its own name for the animal. In parts of Arizona, it's called a Yuma cougar. In Florida, it can be called a deer tiger or a catamount. Catamount just stands for cat of the mountains. Yeah, catamount. In the eastern U.S., it's sometimes referred to as a mountain screamer or a red tiger. Basically, it's all different depending on where you live. Even within an individual state, it can have several different names. For example, in Utah, it's called a cougar or a mountain lion depending on where you live and which college team you cheer for. But no matter where you are, it's a puma concolere. Now, here's what you need to know about pumas. They are considered an apex predator, no matter where you find them, from Canada to South America. Apex predators. And even though it's an apex predator, it is not considered a large cat. It's considered a small cat by scientists. It has even sometimes been referred to as a spicy house cat due to its many similarities to domesticated cats. This is partially due to its size and partially due to the fact that the noises it makes, its hisses, purrs, and growls, are much like house cats. And much like a house cat, pumas can come in a variety of colors and sizes. Here's the interesting thing. These differences are determined by terrain and weather. Let me explain. As you get closer to the equator, pumas actually get smaller. Their coloring will change depending on whether or not they are in the mountains or a desert terrain. Basically, as a cat goes, they're very adaptable. And speaking of adaptations and colors, one thing that all pumas have in common, despite where they live or their terrain, is that they all have dark marks on their ears, around their snouts, and on the tip of their tails. Also, all of the babies are spotted. Other shared characteristics are that they have short legs, large paws, and their hind legs are larger and more muscular than their front legs. This is what gives them their incredible jumping power. As for their life cycle, a puma lives for about 8 to 10 years in the wild. In captivity, places like a zoo, they can actually live up to be 20 years old. But in wild or captivity, they are solitary cats and prefer to live alone. The males seek out other cougars during mating season. The females are the ones that raise their cubs. Female pumas are very dedicated mothers. They will spend about 75% of their lives either pregnant or nurturing and raising their young. Cougar cubs stay with their moms for about 1.5 to 2 years before the mom will eventually abandon the cub to help them fend for themselves. When the cubs are pushed out of the den or left alone in the den with the mother abandoning it, they will sometimes stay together as a litter for protection as they learn to establish their own territories. It's the training wheels of Puma adulthood. But that first 1.5 years with mom, it's critical, as this is when the cubs learn to avoid dangers, how to hunt, and generally, how to be an outdoor cat. If their large habitat and apex nature have you anxious, let's go over how to tell if there's a puma, mountain lion, cougar, whatever we're calling it, around. According to the U.S. National Forestry Service, here's some things that you can do. Number 1, look for tracks. Pumas and mountain lions have very large paws, especially on those big hind legs they have. Their markings tend to be between 3 to 4 inches wide. They retract their claws when they walk, so there's no claw marks on puma tracks. Next thing you're going to do, you're going to look for scat on the trails. Scat is the scientific name for excrement, feces, dookie, poop. And puma scat looks a lot like a big old human log. Due to their carnivorous nature and their size, they might have a little bit of fur in the scat, but it looks kind of human, okay? I'm going to be completely honest. It just looks like human poop a little bit. Here's the thing about pumas. They know where humans are. Due to the size of their territory, they know where our hiking trails are. And one of the things that pumas do to communicate with humans and to say, hey, I live here, is they will poop in the middle of human trails. So if you think, oh my gosh, someone was so rude, they just pooped in the middle of this trail, and what are they eating that there's hair in here? That's not human. That's puma scat. Basically, our trails are their litter box. Number 3, look for scratch marks. Remember how I told you that pumas are related to house cats and that they have a lot of the same characteristics and habits? Well, one of the things that they do is scratch things up to mark their territory. It's the same way that a house cat will scratch its favorite chair. Pumas are a lot the same. They will scratch things up to leave marks for other pumas and for humans. And finally, number 4, you are going to listen for birds at dawn and dusk. Now, when I say birds, I don't actually mean birds. I mean the bird sound that the puma makes. A lot of people are unaware that pumas make a sound like a chirp. It's their non-threatening way they communicate. It's actually the most common sound that they make. It's the, oh, hey guys, of the mountain lion world. Before I play the sound for you, let me tell you a quick story. When I was a kid, I remember going on a camping trip to Yellowstone National Park with my family. And one evening, we were all sitting around the campsite when we heard a bird call we had never heard before. Now, it stuck out to my brothers and I because it was dark outside and there were just these birds. We could hear them. There were multiple birds and they were around us and we could not figure out. And I just remember talking to my brothers and being like, what is that bird? I've never heard a bird like that. Could it be an owl? Could it be this? Could it be that? We couldn't figure it out. We went to bed confused. In the morning, a park ranger woke us up and informed us that there were bears and cougars sighted in the campground the evening before. The mystery was solved. The park ranger informed us, yes, the sound we heard was a puma. He said it's a good sound to hear because it means that they're not threatened by you. They're just communicating. So let me play that sound for you now. Remember, this is their happy sound. It's just chatting. If you hear this next sound, this is the sound of a female puma telling the male pumas that she's in heat and ready to go on a date. It sounds a little angry, right? Very different than those first docile bird chirps that we heard. And finally, I'm going to play for you some angry kitty sounds. If you hear these sounds, that means that there is an angry puma around. If you hear those sounds that I just played, that means the puma doesn't want you to be there. So here's what you can do. According to the Forest Service, don't run, okay? We're not going to run from the spicy house cats. You run and you can trigger the cat's prey drive. Here's what that means. Have you ever played with a house cat with a piece of string, sometimes with a feather on it? Yeah, that's what you look like to a mountain lion when you start running. okay? Don't be a feather on a string. You want to be big. You are going to turn towards that puma. You are going to make eye contact. You are going to stare into that puma's soul, and you are going to say, "Get out, cat." You're going to make yourself bigger. Keep eye contact, make yourself bigger, and start walking backwards. And finally, if it attacks you, fight. There are some animals that you're going to play dead. A puma, not one of them. You're going to fight it. You're going to fight that cat. But that's statistically a very, 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 very small chance. Let's talk about those statistics. There have been only 29 cases of fatal mountain lion attacks on humans in North America since 1868. Yes, only 29 cases. This is an average of 0.18 attacks per year. For context, each year in the U.S., on average, 777 people die from mosquito-borne illnesses. You are more likely to die from a mosquito than from a puma. 28 people each year are struck by lightning. You have a much larger chance of being struck by lightning in the wilderness than you do of being attacked by a puma. It's not really something to worry about. Mountain lions are not a major public safety risk. These are just spicy house cats. Even according to the Mountain Lion Foundation, being loud and aggressive is the best way to avoid an attack entirely. And with that, may you have happy trails and lots of hiking in front of you. I'm Mimi Fotz, and this has been another episode of Hello from the Van. It's the Fox episode of Hello from the Van. Our question today centers around the fox. No, the question is not, what does the fox say? The question is simply, is a fox technically a cat or a dog? A feline or a canine? Let's go over the evidence. Tail, floofy, ears, naturally pointed, nose, hairless and adorable, coat, changes with the season, but only in some parts of the world. Cast your votes. Is the fox a part of the cat or dog families? Feline or canine? Cat or dog? Are we locked in? The answer is a dog. Yup, the fox is part of the canine family, not a feline or cat. It's a dog. Let's go over what that means. The Canidae or Caninae are the canine family. That's their taxonomy, meaning their group of animals. And it includes domestic dogs, wolves, coyotes, raccoon dogs, not raccoons, raccoon dogs, foxes, jackals, and other species. The features of this adorable family are typically long muzzles, upright pointed ears, teeth adapted for cracking bones and slicing flesh, long legs, and bushy tails. Wild canids are native to all continents except Australasia and Antarctica. They occur as human-introduced in New Guinea and Australia. We'll get to that later in the podcast. But they naturally inhabit most of the world. They also inhabit just about every habitat, from deserts to mountains, forests, grasslands, snowy hills, and barren deserts. They vary in their size quite a lot. This family can weigh anywhere from as small as half a kilogram or 1.3 pounds to something as big as the gray wolf. And while they might be dogs, there are two species of this family that are regularly found in trees. This is the gray fox and the raccoon dog. The other thing to know about this taxonomy and family is that the tip of their nose is always naked, meaning there's no hair on it, and they tend to walk on their toes. So that's our overview of the canine family, but let's talk specifically about the fox. I know, somewhere someone is shouting, but what does the fox say? Parents, I am so sorry for what I'm about to do. For those of you wondering, this is what a fox sounds like. In essence, this is what the fox says. Yeah, it's a unique sound. So why do foxes make that sound? Well, because they have to communicate over long distances. You see, foxes may technically be dogs, but they fill the place of cats in most ecosystems. So rather than running in packs like most canines that we think of, like wolves, the fox is a solitary animal. And when you're living the single life, sometimes you have to make long distance calls, which comes in the form of screaming, barking, and yipping. Let me play some other fox sounds for you right now. Interesting, right? Who knew such a small and adorable animal could make such crazy screams? To me, the fox's cries remind me a lot of our Puma episode where we learned about the sounds that cat makes. It's very reminiscent, isn't it? But one's a cat and one's a dog. Another feline characteristic of these small canines is that they are nocturnal, which means they do most of their activity at night and sleep during the day. This is why you will sometimes hear fox screams at nighttime. They're just making long distance calls to chat with their friends at night. So they might be dogs, but they definitely have some feline characteristics. And now it's time for a speed round of what does the fox eat? I'm not going to tell you what kind of an eater a fox is. Instead, I'm going to give you foods and you simply shout out, eats it or nope, if you don't think the fox eats that item. Are we ready? I'm going to give you 5 foods. Remember, you shout out, eats it or nope, if you think the fox eats that food. Are we ready? Here we go. Food number 1, rabbits. Eats it. You are correct. Food number 2, insects. Eats it. If you said nope, sorry. Hate to tell you this, but the fox regularly eats insects. Okay, number 3, this one's tricky. Fruits. Fruits, nuts, berries, fruits. Eats it. Okay, next one, vegetables. Eats it. And finally, earthworms. Do you think the fox eats earthworms? Yep, it eats it. You're right. This is too easy. The fox eats everything we mentioned. Foxes are technically omnivores, which means they live on a varied diet of plants, animals, seeds, nuts, everything. While foxes are amazing hunters, foxes around cities are known to sometimes scavenge for garbage if given the opportunity. They're basically adorable trash compactors. One of the awesome things about the fox is that due to its propensity to eat small rodents like field mice and rabbits, they inadvertently help control the tick population. Basically, the chain of events goes, fox hunts rodents. Rodents try to hide from foxes and not get eaten. Less available rodents means fewer ticks. Fewer ticks means a slower spread of tick-borne illnesses like Lyme disease to humans. Basically, by hiding from the fox, the rodent gets the added perk of not being eaten by ticks. Go ecosystems! And to round out this week's episode, I'm going to speed run some amazing fox facts for you all. Are we ready? Here we go. A group of foxes is called a skulk, not a pack. A skulk. Try saying that word with me. It's amazing. Skulk. Great, right? A baby fox is called a kit or a cub, depending on where you live. A female fox is called a vixen. What a great name. Which means if you were a fox baby, you would be a kit who called your mom the vixen of your skulk. I mean, come on. These sound like pirate names. Amazing. 10 out of 10. Foxes are the most widespread land carnivores in the world. They are highly adaptable and are naturally found just about everywhere. And that leads us to Australia. We need to talk about Australia and their fox problem. In Australia, feral breeds of red fox were brought in around the 1840s. They were brought in to be hunted. The problem is, due to the breeding cycle and reproduction cycle of the fox, they went on to have a bunch of kits and take over Australia. So while the fox was introduced for hunting and entertainment, they have turned around and gone on to decimate natural wildlife and plant populations on the continent. It is estimated that foxes and other human-introduced predators are responsible for the extinction of at least 10 native species of animal on the Australian continent. Due to their invasive nature, hunting foxes is allowed in all states of Australia. It's a big problem, one that the Australian government works regularly to eradicate. One of the things that makes eradicating the red fox in Australia difficult, they're nocturnal. It's hard to find them because they're only awake for about 9 hours and they're only active at night. So what will happen is farmers will go out at night and do what's called spotlighting. They will shine a light and try to find the foxes that way. Humans today are trying to take care of a problem that humans over 200 years ago created. Next, we're going to talk about gray fox tracks do not have claw marks, something that they have in common with the puma. Gray foxes walk and run with their claws retracted so as not to leave full markings in the dirt. It's a very feline attribute for this fascinating canine. Next, foxes will eat just about anything. They are like bears in that a fed fox is a dead fox. If you see a wild fox, please try not to feed it human food. A fox that is regularly fed by humans will lose its ability to hunt, and that means losing its ability to survive. They're adorable and fluffy and friend-shaped, but please don't feed the foxes. And finally, to all you kits and vixens out there, I hope your skulk has a great week, and I'll catch you in the next one. I'm Mimi Fotz, and this has been another episode of Hello from the Van. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mimi Fotz, and this is Hello from the Van. We have recently been plagued by the flu at the Fotz house and have gone through our fair share of hospital emesis bags. And that brings us to today's topic. Which animals can throw up and which ones can't, and why? For the queasy amongst us, myself included, I will try to do this in the most sterile way possible so that it's educational but not nauseating. I will be using the words emesis or eject because that's all that I can handle right now. So, which animals can eject their food or things that they eat and which animals cannot? Emesis, or ejecting, can be seen throughout many different species of animals all throughout the animal kingdom. But for some species, it's just not a thing that they can do. Take, for example, rodents. We're talking rats, mice, squirrels, beavers, even guinea pigs. You see, they can't actually expel things. The reason is because their brain literally lacks the neural circuits that it needs to be able to perform that function. In fact, their stomach or their diaphragm doesn't even have the muscles capable or needed to perform that. So how do they handle it when they take in toxic substances? One of the things that they have been known to do or seen to do in nature is if they have access to something like clay, they will try to eat the clay to then neutralize the toxin that they've taken in. A lot of the time, they'll take in the toxin, and if there's not something powerful enough to neutralize it around, it will ultimately lead to their demise. If we swing to the other side of the pendulum and go large animals, what about those large animals? Can they also expel contents? You all know I love a quiz game, so I'm going to give you 3 animals, and you tell me whether or not you think that they can perform emesis. The first, a giraffe. Yes or no on the emesis front? I'll give you 5 seconds. Yes, a giraffe, much like a cow, has 4 chambered stomachs. It chews on a cud, and while it's not common for a giraffe to perform emesis on the regular, it is something that they can do. Next up, we have whales. Do you think that a whale can perform emesis? I'll give you 5 seconds. Yes, a whale can. In fact, whale emesis is very, very expensive. I found out that sperm whale emesis is called abergee and is worth millions of dollars. No, I'm not punking you right now. This is actually a thing. Ambergris, or ambergris, is a waxy, flammable substance produced in the intestines of sperm whales, often called floating gold due to its high value in the perfume industry as a fixative, meaning it makes the other scents that are in the perfume last longer. Ranging in color from gray to black, it matures at sea to develop a unique, musky, sweet, earthy scent. Historically used in food, no, I'm not joking, historically used in food, medicine, and incense, it is now primarily used in luxury perfumery, identified by its lightweight, waxy texture and distinct aroma. Companies such as Dior, Hermes, and Louis Vuitton use it in their luxury line. That's out of my tax bracket, so not something that I need to worry about. Clearly, if you're curious about the smell, after a lot of research, ambergris is routinely described as a warm, beachy, salty smell. I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to be, but that's the common theme in all of these perfumes that I found. Warm, beachy, salty smell. Whatever that means to you, apparently. Let's move on to our third and final animal, the horse. Can a horse expel its stomach contents? I'll give you 5 seconds. The answer is no. No, a horse cannot throw up. Horses have a very unique and highly specialized digestive system, and it's designed for constant grazing. It's a one-way system. What goes in must stay in. Us humans have a two-way system. What goes in can sometimes come out the way it came. Horses, not so much. This can make it especially dangerous if they choke on their food or if they have other problems such as colic. It can cause gas or things to build up in their stomach that can ultimately lead again to their demise. So before you feed a horse, make sure that you have talked to that horse's owner or know what to feed that horse. Stray things or the wrong things fed to a horse can be deadly. So far in our emesis episode, we have talked about one-way systems and two-way systems. Humans, we have two-way systems. What goes in can come out again the way it came. We've talked about that. We also have the one-way system that applies to things like horses and rodents, but there's another type. Now, I'm not quite sure what to call it, but in the science community, they call it a full gastric aversion. There's not really a colloquial term for it. Basically, they purge their entire stomach out through their mouth, turn it inside out, clean it with their hands, and then put it back in their stomach. It's the ultimate turn it off and turn it back on again reset of the animal kingdom. As far as animal adaptations go, this one actually makes a lot of sense to me. If you think about where frogs live and how quickly they need to be able to eat and catch their prey, it makes sense that the frog then has a reset mechanism for its digestive system. Now, you're probably wondering, but why? Can't they just make sure that they're eating the right thing? Well, sometimes the frog's eyes can be bigger than its stomach, quite literally. A frog can expel its stomach for reasons like eating something that's noxious or poisonous or simply too large for its stomach to digest. And when you're eating hundreds of bugs a day, you don't know which one is the noxious or poisonous one, so it's best just to start all over again. And with that, we have reached the end of our emesis episode. And I don't know about you, but even after going through the flu as an entire family, I sure am glad that us humans own a two-way system rather than a one-way system. It sure does solve a lot of problems. And with that, I'm Mimi Fotz, and this has been a rather educational episode of Hello from the Van.